Bi'adechav ki ruchi padita oti ya'elemet. 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 Bi'adechav ki ruchi padita oti ya'elemet.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to those of you in the space joining us in our sanctuary. Welcome to all of you joining us through the ether of modern technology and welcoming us into wherever you are, your living room, your home, hopefully your heart as well. We are on page 24. Lechu Neranena is the song we are about to sing from the book of Psalms. We have, I don't think, ever done this one. So there may be, we have? Virtually we did it once. We have never done it in person, so here we go. Top of page 24.
Oh,
we have to get up. You may be seated. So, Bruchim Abayim, welcome to all of you. I just wanted to mention It might not be apparent to you right away as you walk into the space, as you are watching, participating from home, but I am tonight surrounded by Wonder Women. Literally. Celia is joining us with a boot on her right foot because she fell, or left foot, she fell. And she was not sure she was going to be able to make it. And through the rehearsal, she was dancing, actually. So it's good to have you. Thank you for braving the night and coming to sing with us. Diana Rose, tonight, is going to delight us playing 3 different instruments. She started on the piano. She'll slide gently to the guitar, while at the same time maybe playing the drum. So I hope we get to, really appreciate you tonight. I told her she was a one-woman band. She just needed the big drum kit in the back, the cymbals with the foot, So just amazing what this little group is able to pull off every Shabbat. And I wanted to start with that deep appreciation of them, because this would not be what it is without their amazing talent and dedication. So with that, with those open-hearted energies, I think, which is the best way to enter into the space of Shabbat, I'm inviting you just to close your eyes for a moment. And step into those energies. The joy that we just sang of the day called Shabbat. In our tradition, it is really the day we look forward to all week long. As soon as Shabbat is over, we are already working our way towards next Shabbat. And the great mitzvah of Shabbat is what's actually called Oneg Shabbat. We think that Oneg is the little bread and wine we get at the end of services, because that has been our tradition here at Bet Alef in many synagogues as well. We call that moment of gathering an Oneg, but the word Oneg actually means joy. It means rejoicing. And Oneg Shabbat is the rejoicing, that the energy with which we are to step into Shabbat with joy. And it's not a forced kind of joy. It's a natural kind of joy, because when we know to be in the presence of oneness all around us, in the eyes of everyone we encounter, and also in our own self, then the only natural response to really letting ourselves surrender to that absolute energy of love and abundance is joy. And Hasidic masters actually made that their practice. They did somersaults in the aisles of their synagogues. If you go to the wall on a Friday night in Jerusalem, you'll see we're all dancing all over, singing and dancing. So those are the energies that we step into the moment with. And from that place of joy, the second thing we do is we give of that abundance. We give from the core of ourselves, from our open-heartedness that is found again on Shabbat. Maybe the heart was closed the rest of the week, because we are so busy finding our way through the world and fighting, to get what we want or what we need. But on Shabbat, we have everything we need. That is the premise of the day. The rabbis say, as soon as a wish arises in consciousness, it is fulfilled. It is fulfilled. Why? Because we already have everything we need. So whatever we could be wishing for, nothing more we would need than the day. And so from that place, we give tzedakah. We give what most time is translated as charity. But it really is an act of justice to try to even up the scales between those who have and those who have not. And sometimes it's even those who have not that actually know that pain and know that suffering who give the most, because it is a way to acknowledge that none of what we have is truly ours. It's only abundance to be shared around. This month we are sharing our tzedakah with Jewish Family Service here in Seattle. They have embarked on a month-long program to actually serve refugees who are coming from Afghanistan with nothing, and to help them relocate, find housing, find a way to translate, to learn English, find a way to settle in the Northwest. And they have resettled now several dozen families. Also, people who come here, singles, and even lone children who have been sent by their families from Afghanistan and find themselves here alone. So whatever we can give to Jewish Family Service that will help them purchase hygiene supplies, clothing, any kind of household items, car seats, toys, anything anyone might need to kind of ease your way into this big traumatic moment in their life. So that's what we've decided. The board of Bet Alef, we have decided to support these few months through the end of the month of December. I'm hoping you can find your way to the back of the sanctuary, to the tzedakah box that is right over there. Except those of you who are lighting candles tonight, please come forward and kindle our lights. We invite you to do this, whichever part you're choosing to do, while we're singing a nigun, so it's not in your prayer book, it's just a melody without words. As always, every Shabbat that we gather in this space, we invite members of our community to come forward, kindle our Shabbat candles, and share with us what they are marking, honoring, celebrating. Tonight, we're going to start from our right. Cindy Campbell is lighting in memory of her father, Alfred Merrily. On his 54th yahrzeit. Next to Cindy is David Krupkin. David is lighting in memory of his grandmother, Thelma Krupkin, for her 9th yahrzeit, and with gratitude for such wonder in his life. Shelley Oakley is lighting tonight in loving memory of Melissa Fagan, daughter of Elizabeth and Michael Fagan, for her 10th yahrzeit this past week. Melissa's shining smile and caring energy are dearly missed and always held close to their hearts. And there are a few of you at home who are also lighting your candles and are letting us know what you are lighting for. Stu Heller is lighting his candles tonight at home for his good friend and colleague and fraternity brother, Harry Laufer, who passed away November 11th. Also in honor and memory of his mother, B. Heller, on her fifth yard site. Elizabeth Heath, also at home, is lighting in celebration of the successful sale of her condo and her transition into an apartment not far away. Elizabeth is grateful for loving, generous, and skillful services of Hannah Nerbovig, her realtor, for Barbara Klein, for assistance on moving day, and for displaying her artwork in her new home. And lastly, for the continuing moral support from her friend Linda Morris. And all three of those are members of Bet Alef, so it's wonderful to be served in so many ways at home. John Danker from Colorado, joining us tonight, is lighting in memory of his aunt Fern Danker on her first yard site. Pesha Klein is lighting her candles tonight in memory of her Baba, Clara Klein, on her yard site as well. Jan Haberth is lighting her candles tonight in support of Sarah Posey, a dear friend of her partner Chip Schmeltz. Sarah is in Seattle from Haines, Alaska, for an intensive period of medical interventions, and Sarah welcomes prayers for recovery from debilitating pain and hope for compassionate and competent medical care. And we wish her just that, of course. What about you? You are here with us tonight. You who are participating from home. What about you? What are you lighting your candles for tonight? Perhaps candles for gratitude, perhaps candle because of mourning, candles for hope, candles because you just need something that has been dimmed in your life to be rekindled tonight. Whatever that is, the words of the blessing for the light, not the blessings for the candle, the blessing for the light that awakens on a day called Shabbat is on page 1 in your prayer book. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. Amen. Thank you. We continue on page 5 in your prayer book, and we rise for the Baruch Hu. We say together, Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Bless the Eternal, the one who is blessing. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Blessed is the Eternal, the one who is blessing eternally. The Shema, the 6 words that are the central affirmation, the mantra of our tradition, finds us on page 6. Join me. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel. The eternal manifests as all that is. The eternal is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is the name. The splendor of its presence shines eternally.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai
Please be seated. We continue with the words of the Ve'ahavta that follow the Shema in Torah.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכשפתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. In the middle of page 31, we find what is by far, my favorite song in our repertoire, along with all the other songs that also are my favorite song by far. Ya Ribon. It's Aramaic, actually, and it's deeply mystical, and I love it. Yah is it's not the name of God. You know, people think that Jews worship Yahweh. Somebody told me that this week. Oh, you're Jewish, so you worship Yahweh. And I said, who? It's either Yahweh or my way, so.
Or the
I know, it's an easy one. All right. Yellow card. Okay. Yud Hey, that's what it's actually about, is the two letters of the four letters that represent or point to something that cannot be fathomed. Four letters that are just a placeholder, that are meant to bridge worlds, which we're going to close the Shabbat service with, bridging worlds. The transcendent and the immanent, the infinite and the finite, all of which are just four dimensions from the four letters of the divine. And Yud Hey, the two letters that are pronounced Yah, represents the upper transcendent, unfathomable, unspeakable, and unthinkable aspect of the divinity, out of which, that silence, that nothingness, out of which everything becomes, everything emerges. So the song says, Yah, because we can't call it anything else, so it's almost like it's a breath, it's an out breath. Yah.
You who manifest, you can read the translation, you who manifests as this and all worlds, within, without, known and unknown, infinitely small, infinitely big. You are supreme, the sovereign presence. Those of you who are joining us tomorrow in the Maimonides class will talk about how the divine for Maimonides manifests the presence in all of creation. Your mighty, wondrous works that includes each and every one of us. When we realize that awesomeness, that transcendent light that shines through every aspect of creation, then as the song says, then my heart is moved to say amen, to say how delightful, how surprising, how wow. How can this not be my favorite song? Plus you get to do yo-yo-yo-y, yai-dai-dai during the song. So please rise.
Yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai, yoi-yoi-yoi-doi-doi-doi. Ya Ribon Olam ve'al Maya, unto Malka Melech Malchaya, Melech Malchaya. Oh, but Geburtech v'tim haya, shafar kodamai lehachaya. Yadadai, 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 yadadai. Yoyadai, yodadai, 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 yodadai. Ya Ribon Olam ve'al Maya, unto Malka Melech Malchaya, Melech Malchaya. Oh, but Geburtech v'tim haya, shafar kodamai lehachaya.
No, again, let's do it again.
Yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai, yoi-dai, yodadoi-doi, yodadoi, yodadoi, yodadoi-doi, yoi-yoi-yoi-yoi-yoi-yoi. Ya Ribon Olam ve'al Maya, unto Malka Melech Malchaya, Melech Malchaya. Oh, but Geburtech v'tim haya, shafar kodamai lehachaya. You want to keep going?
That's good. You know, we could do it all night, as far as I'm concerned. And since you are already standing, we're going to continue with the Amidah. Such a great song. There, I'm almost there. It's hard with one hand. On page 8. Please join me. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Eternal One, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach Ufi
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah ואלוהי רחל, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות. ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיח ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי
You may be seated. So I brought a prop tonight. This is the Torah. This is the traveling size version of the Torah. And I noticed and realized that it doesn't come with a magnifying glass at all. But I brought my prop tonight because I want to talk to you about Jacob. And how do you start talking about Jacob? You know, the first thing that comes to mind is it's complicated. Jacob is a really complicated being for being one of our forefathers. You know, the one whom, as I'm going to read in those pages tonight, is getting the new name, Israel, which is the name of our nation. We are named after Jacob. And frankly, I'm not sure what to make about that. He's really a complex, challenging person in the Torah. I don't know how many of you have family members or yourself have a Hebrew name being Jacob, and I'm going to apologize in advance for all that I'm going to say about Jacob right now. You know, his name Yaakov, because all the J's are actually Yuds in Hebrew. They are Ya. Like it's not Jezebel, it's Isabel. He's born Yaakov because he wrestled with his twin brother in their mom's womb, fighting for the right to be the first one out. Because whomever is the first one out is the firstborn, and if you're the firstborn, then the blessing is passed down through you, and the inheritance is bigger. Like the firstborn son in Jewish law gets half the inheritance, and the rest of the boys split the rest. But other than that, in the context of the Torah, it's supposed to be the one who gets the blessing from Abraham to Isaac, Isaac to supposedly Esau, because he's the first one out. And Yaakov literally means the one who followed. The one who, it comes from the word ekev, who actually, the ekev means the heel, because as he lost the wrestling out of the womb, he only managed to grab onto the heel of Esau, and Esau pulled him out after him. And so his name means second fiddle. I mean, can you imagine? What kind of parents are those? To name their kid the second best. You know, the one who came on the heel, literally, on the heel of the other. You know, how do you name a kid like that? Yaakov. My father, who was somewhat of an abusive person, all his youth called my brother, well, it was Olivier and the other. Can you imagine? The other. That was my brother's nickname through his childhood. Can you imagine what it does? I mean, we don't pay attention enough for how we nickname the people in our lives. You know, the clumsy one. Oh, this is the clumsy one, or you know, and that stays with people. People live with that. People come through the world with that. I don't know what nickname you were given. My father called me the average one. I'm serious. I was a straight A student, and when I came home and showed my card, my report card, with all straight A's, he says, well, that's normal. Okay. Yaakov is he started wrestling right in the womb. He's not going to stop. He's not going to stop all the way to tonight where he's going to wrestling, but for a different reason. He wrestled all his life. He wrestled with his brother. I mean, he became a nasty little kid. I mean, he was craving so much to get his father's attention, who he barely ever got, because his father loved his firstborn son best, Esau. And Yaakov was a mommy's boy who lived in the tent most of the time, while Esau was the hunter-gatherer. And he cheats his brother out of his birthright. He lies to his father. He runs away because his brother wants to kill him for what he's cheated him out of, his inheritance, his birthright. 20 years he spends in exile trying to smooth the way with Laban, who becomes his father-in-law, also cheating him. Well, Laban cheats, back. But there's this back and forth between those two. Who's going to cheat the other one more? Eventually, Yaakov takes everybody from his household after 20 years and just sneaks out without saying goodbye, without letting his two wives, the two daughters of Laban, even have the chance to say goodbye. And tonight is the bill who comes due, because he's fled after 20 years of exile and he's coming home. And he's going to have to face his brother. And he's wondering if his brother, after 20 years, still wants to kill him. And so he tries to still manipulate the situation. He's just weird. He tries to betray, to manipulate everybody, to make people do his bidding. And here he goes again, He's not sure what Esau's response is going to be, so he sends him gifts ahead. Because he's become very wealthy at Laban's and never said thank you, but he became really wealthy. And so he sends him all kinds of, gift to appease him. His people, his camels, his flock, everything he can find ahead of him, to meet Esau ahead so that Esau will not kill him. And Yaakov is weird because both on the way out when he fled from his brother and now on his way back when he's coming back to face his brother and his past, God's told him twice, I'm with you. Don't be afraid. I will guide your way. I will walk your path with you. I will protect you. And still, Yaakov, talk about the depth of the disorder. Even when God tells him, I'll all be okay, he still is like, I'm going to edge my bets though. I'm gonna try to bribe Esau before I meet him. And then this happens. That same night, the night before meeting his brother again, that same night, he arose, Yaakov, Jacob, and taking his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 children. By the way, he has more, but we only count the boys. Which is interesting because just a few pages later, there's a whole story about Dinah and her supposed rape, which wasn't, which is just a fascinating story in and of itself. But she becomes one of the main characters of Torah, and she's not even mentioned here at the beginning of the story. Patriarchy. And his 11 children, he crossed the ford of the Jabbok. The Jabbok was a major stream in Mesopotamia, which was actually really hard to cross. You needed a lot of manpower. You need a lot of tricks to try to do that. So it's a big deal to cross the Jabbok. I like the name of the river. He crosses the Jabbok. It's like a mishmash of his own name. And here we get into the problems of names again. The Jabbok River, over which he crosses, isn't it just himself, just completely upside down and messed up? Jabbok, Jacob. It's also interesting because the root of that word, Jabbok, the name of the river, is also the same root that gives us the word Yavek, which means to wrestle. I love how the Torah is just, every word is setting it up, every word is setting it up. After taking them across the stream, he sent across all his possessions. So first he crosses with all his family, then he crosses again, then he takes all his possessions, and he crosses once more to bring everything to the same side. Vayevater Yaakov levado, the Torah says. Vayevater Yaakov levado, and literal translation, and Jacob was left alone. And that's exactly what he needed, The word in Hebrew is not that he was left alone. The word is vayevater. Levater means to give up. And Jacob just got into a place within himself where he was like, I give up. Like that moment where you have pursued that star that will never come around. You have tried to manipulate the whole world around you. You have tried to get your own. You have tried to transcend your birthmark from your name. You've done all you could to no longer be the follower, to be the leader. And every time you failed, and you failed, and you failed again. And every time you failed, you burned bridges that could not be rebuilt. Up to the moment where you have to face your own death at the hand of your brother. I mean, not to that extreme, but I see Jacob in me. All of us who still walk around with an ego, we still try to bend the world to our will, the people in our lives, to do what we really want them to do. We still do that. I mean, we're more or less manipulative. Let's admit that to be the case, especially with the people closest to us. None of us is able to plead not guilty to that. We've all trying to be the hero of our own life, of our own mind, of our own world, this way or that way. And Vayevater Yaakov levado, and Jacob just gave up on the whole thing. He just gave up. It's like, Dayenu. If I'm going to die tomorrow, let's take a deep breath and just really reset. And he was alone, levado. He was alone, but not alone like I'm by myself. Like there's an aloneness within us when we give up the noise, when we give up the false pursuits of fake happiness. There's a profound aloneness. That is not sad, that is not traumatic, it's just very peaceful. It's not that you are alone with your thoughts for the first time, it's that you're alone with nothingness for the first time. There's something here that Yaakov has crossed over that stream, and he discovered nothingness. And in that place, his ego, his alter ego or whatever, comes to wrestle with him. The ego that says, I don't want you to stay in that space. I want you to get back to being Yaakov. Because that's the fight within each of us. Within each of us. The part that just wants us to break free
to leave our inner Egypt, to stop those patterns that cause so much suffering, so much pain all around us. Before we do the Al-Khet again next year, that part of us that really wants to find the place of giving it all up, and we finally find ourselves truly as ourselves alone, not needing anything, not needing anyone, not needing any mirror to tell us who we are. But then you get to wrestle. You wrestle all night long with that being, that ego within that doesn't want to let go of him. And it's just 2 verses, but you can tell how intense the inner fight between what in Hindu tradition we call Maya, the principle of illusory self, of separation, of that false identity that wrestles with our spiritual self. And we don't know, I'm going to read to you, but the Torah doesn't say who does what to whom in the wrestling. And an Ish wrestled with him until the break of dawn. When he saw that he had not prevailed against him, we don't know who the he refers to in Hebrew. When he saw that he had not prevailed against him, was it Yaakov that saw that he could not prevail against him? Was that alter ego that saw that he could not prevail against him? When he saw that he had not prevailed against him, he wrenched Jacob's hip as it's at its socket, so that the socket of its hip was strained as he wrestled with him. You can't go through this process without scars. As something gets fundamentally changed inside of you. And then he said, who? Let me go, for dawn is breaking. See, the light is coming. From the darkness emerges the light. And he answered, and then we still don't know who. And I love it because you could read it either way. He answered, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And I want to, everybody thinks it's Jacob telling the angels, bless me, but I'm reading it differently. I'm seeing the Yaakov that is now awakened in his aloneness. And the little self, the little frightened, manipulative self that knows no other kind of existence than the one he's always had, who says, please bless me, because I'm scared. Said the other, what is your name? And he replied, Yaakov. Said he, your name shall no longer be Yaakov, but Yisrael. For you have striven with beings divine and human, and you have prevailed. You have transcended. At the end of your lifelong wrestling, in the moment of letting everything go, putting everything on the other side, all your possessions, both human and physical, material, in that moment when you find yourself absolutely, completely alone, you prevailed. You prevailed. And Yaakov asked, pray tell me your name. But he said, you must not ask my name. Don't fall back. Don't worry about me. Don't fall back. Don't ask to know me. You've known me for too long. You've broken free from me. Let me go. Bless me and let me go. This is what I wish all of us.
that we could find that freedom, that we could find a place, scary as it may be, where we're okay with letting it all go. You know, before death comes, because then we'll have no choice. You know, some of the mystical teachers, not from Jewish tradition, but that sentence has been used so many ways. If you die before you die, then when you die, you won't die. If your ego dies, as Jacob, before you die, then you'll know that the truth of who you are in the midst of that absolute silence is undying. It was never born, and it can never die. And that is your, my true I am. That pure isness that doesn't have any attributes. That is because it just is. That doesn't need to be this or to be that exists beyond that, prior to that. That is just pure, simple beingness. I amness. Before I am this, before I am that, I simply am. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Amen. On page 25 is the Song of Blessing. A song of blessing that blesses the tents of Yaakov. And we are, all of us, the tent of Yaakov, the tents of Israel, the embodiment of that realization, if we only let ourselves cross the Jabbok river of our life. Matovu, how good your tents, Yaakov, your dwelling places, Yisrael.
Tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha
letting yourself be bathed in the blessing itself. Ma tovu'u, the goodness of this moment. The goodness of your being. The absolute goodness of life as it is. Letting yourself be surrendered on the other side of your jebok, alone, in the aloneness of spirit. The knowing of life eternal within each of us. And the release and the peace that can come from that knowing. Vayivater, that surrendering, that giving up. Giving up the illusions, the theater, knowing at the end of that wrestling the light of dawn shining in our heart, in our soul, unafraid. Before you are this, before you are that, you simply are. Before you're this body, before you're this quirks, these stories, these character traits, these worldviews, you simply are. Period. That which you are knows no definitions. no attributes, no characteristics. You simply are. This breath arises. You simply are. May all those in need of healing tonight know that before their illness, they simply are. Before their heartache, they simply are. That nothing defines them, their essence, their pure soul, untouched. May all beings in need of healing find within themselves that light, that brightness that is their birthright, their inheritance, that light may heal every cell in their body, every spark in their heart, every thought in their minds. And put yourself into that light tonight as you hold others in your mind, others you know to be in need of healing, others inscribed on our community's healing list. Hillary Wilson, Daniel Clark, Craig Wilson, Phyllis Levin, Maxwell Bernard, David Mark, John Gorham, Susan Austin, Donald Meadow, Kelly Reagan, Katie Margaret Bank, Russell Kaufman, Lynn Carroll, Amy Lowe, Eileen Wellens, Sid Hoover, Zeke Amstader, Alan Walton, Amy Diane Bork, Arlene Ross, Juan Reyes, Sydney Hannah Young, Abigail Levy, Greg Lesnar, Janet Lewine, Katie Berry, Pam Lesnar, Shelley Cohen, Adam Fryer, Elizabeth Heath, Michael Hall, Sandy Morris, Steve Lucas, Anita Vargas, Elliot Applebaum, Janie Leonard, Jerry Pettitz, Laura Gluck, Lawrence Stern, Label Cohen, Simon Garcia, Kathy Sims, Dorinda Reagan, Eddie Tansman, Elaine Lees, Greg Kenny, Janet Crowley, Patrick Dillon, Zoe Chaya Young, Marissa LeCabe, Celia Curran, Chris Werner Machel, Freda Elka Bachulamit, Michael Burkhardt, Sue-Ann Abel, Mickey Stern, Sarah Posey, Rabbi Michael Lerner, Mugu Vera, Ethan Patashnik, Shaky Warhim, Edward Diaz, Duggan Diaz Cryer. And we name in our hearts all those we hold in light of healing tonight, sharing with them as the light come back into the sanctuary, the song Waters of Healing on page 35. As the light immediately, there you go. See, on Shabbat, as soon as you wish something, it happens.
May the waters of healing flow through our soul. May the waters of healing flow through our mind. May the waters of healing flow through our heart. May the waters of healing flow through our form. Ana Elna, please, Holy One. Rafanala, let your healing be done. Ana Elna, heal our soul. Rafanala, may we be whole. May the pure light of healing give life to our soul. May the pure light of healing give life to our mind. May the pure light of healing give life to our heart. May the pure light of healing give life to our form. Ana Elna, please, Holy One. Rafanala, let your healing be done. Ana Elna, heal our soul. Rafanala, may we be whole.
We are on page 12 in your prayer book, and we rise for the Aleinu. We say together, we are the ones given this way of praising the Holy One of all being, that we might understand and express the greatness of the One who shapes all creation. We celebrate our uniqueness and that of others, and seek to discover the wonder that we are. Therefore we bend the knees, we bow, and we proclaim our gratitude before the ruler of all rulers, the Holy One of all being. As it is said, Then we shall truly realize the Eternal One as universal being. And on that day, the unity of being shall be celebrated by all. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו And as we find a mourner's Kaddish on page 13 of your prayer book, we take a moment to open our hearts, to open our minds to those memories that we carry within us. Memories of those who had walked their way with us for a little while and are continuing now on their journey of healing, on their journey of holding, on their journey of remembering the light they are. It is that light present in each of us, that light within them that we honor and mark this Shabbat. This Shabbat we hold in light of memory those who have made their transition in recent days and weeks. We hold Shiva or Shloshim for them. Harry Laufer, Stu Heller, friend. Roberta Allure, Jen Habarth, grandmother. Pauline Morris, Linda Morris's mother-in-law. On this Shabbat, we also hold in light of memory those who have made their transition this past year. Somvong Sisamuth, Sari Lou Codden, Marco Antonio Florian Corona, Klaus Schuler, Bill Harris, Michael Ruff, Irvin Faludi, Rebecca Risman, Paul Ponton, Mark Montefusco, Mark Sinclair, Carol Cohen, Carl Robert Finkelstein, Judy Turin, Ava Boyadosh, Daryl Summers, Gloria Funston, Yitzhak Leib, Ben Bertha ve'Aaron. Norman Lubitsch, Marsha Whelan, Jack Cohen, Jeffrey Hollingsworth, Francesca Tolchin, Jaden Jones, Patrick and Helt, Stephen Skip Wayne, Mike Levin, Jeannie Warner, Willard Harlow, Elizabeth Egan, Gilbert Feldman, Lavi Cohen, Ruth Veldy Cowan, Janet Koloff, on this Shabbat we also hold in light of memory those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of their transition, happens at this time of the year. Melissa Fagan, Germaine Ben Chaim, Ruth Spector, Clara Klein, Fern Danker, B. Heller, Harry Peer, Kenneth Wren, Martin Amadeus Russert, Ray Parman, Thelma Krupkin, Gary Marmer, Lorne Lee. We say together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba, be'alma divera chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. May the one who creates harmony above make peace for us, for all the household of Israel, and for all the peoples of the world. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen. And as the bread and little cups of wine make their way through the sanctuary for the Oneg, the joy of Shabbat, I just have a few important announcements. Tomorrow morning we continue our study of Maimonides' Guide to the Perplexed. You're welcome to sit down. My course on how to be an anti-Semite continues on Tuesday night. We are moving into the early days of the church, and we're going to end with the Crusades. So much fun to be had in just one evening. Chanukah is coming. I hope you saw the email that came out. Was it yesterday? We have several things planned. First, maybe the most important, is that we're going to invite everyone to light our candles every night together. We start on Sunday the 28th. There is a Zoom link that's going to be shared with our members, and actually everyone who wants to join us. It's going to be at 6:30 precisely every night, and we're going to kindle our candles. It's just 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most. We'll say the blessings together. And actually, I'm leading the first candle and the last candle, but we have different members of the community who are going to be the lay leaders for the rest, and I'm very grateful to all of them who have volunteered to do that, scary as it may be. I'm also leading a meditation on the second night of Chanukah with the JCC, the SJCC. It's at 7 p.m. You have to register with them. So light your candles at 6:30. I'll be waiting for the meditation at 7. We'll obviously do our Shabbat Chanukah next time, Friday the 3rd. And then we have the, how did we call it? The Latkes, the Latkes that you're leading Monday, this coming Monday. So if you don't know, if you've never made latkes, or if you want to refresh on your recipe, or you want to share your recipe with the rest of the community, there'll be an opportunity to practice your latke making. And Linda Morris. Latkes with Linda, that's right. A lot of latkes with Linda, that's a lot of latkes with Linda. Very good. So that's all our Hanukkah events. Okay, top secret, you only heard here. We are going back to the Whitby Institute for our meditation retreat this year. There's an email that is coming. The retreat will be the weekend of January 28th through the 30th. We'll do it both in person, and for those of you who don't want to be in person, or those of you who are 3 hours ahead of us, as many of us now are, many people who join us are 3 hours ahead of us, it'll be on Zoom as well, so everybody can join this way or that way. So there will be opportunity for Bet Alef members from December 1st to register, to have priority, early birds, as we call it, for those who want to be in person. As you understand, there is less room available as the Institute is trying to put just one person per space because of COVID. So that limits the number of people who can attend. If you want to attend with your significant other, you can room together, obviously, since you're in the same pod. There is all that information coming in an email very soon. We have a town hall meeting December 12th, where Pete Bernard, one of the members of the board, and myself will share with you the vision for Bet Alef of tomorrow. So come in. It's going to be maybe an hour and a half. Right now we have it, I think, 5 to 6:30, but maybe we'll change it to 4 to 5:30 to accommodate those who are, like I said, 3 hours ahead of us. Okay, that's all I got. Raise your glass. You could stand again if you want. Up to you. In my family, actually, everybody sat around the table. Only the leader of the blessing would stand. But since we're all the leaders of the blessing, you're welcome to do either what feels most comfortable. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav ורצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה וראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא הקודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. לחיים.
לחיים.
All right, so if you have a little piece of challah, Join me.
Baruch
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. We'll close tonight, as I said at the beginning, bridging worlds. The song is a chant to bridge worlds. If you need the words, they are on page 17. Shabbat Shalom and happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We'll see you in 2 weeks in this space for Hanukkah.
La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya, me'olam ad olam ataya.
Shabbat Shalom.